the subscribe button if you don't want me to come at night.
Imagine receiving an invitation to a museum you've never heard of, a museum dedicated to the macabre and the tragic, a museum that whispers tales of sorrow and despair, a cryptic note scribbled in the corner, beckoning you to uncover its secrets. This is the unsettling invitation our explorers found in their hands one gloomy evening. An invitation without a sender, a location without a name. This was no ordinary museum, it was the Haunting History Museum, a place where the echoes of the past resonate with a chilling intensity. A place filled to the brim with artifacts, each one a silent witness to the most tragic events in history. A doll from a house fire, a pocket watch from a shipwreck, a diary from a war-torn city, each object holding a tale of its own, each tale more horrifying than the last. What secrets lie within the walls of the Haunting History Museum? Let's dare to find out. The Haunting History Museum is not your average museum. It has a history that sends chills down the spine. This is a place where history doesn't just live, it breathes. It whispers tales of those who've passed, echoing their stories through the cold, silent corridors. The museum was once a grand mansion, home to a wealthy family with a penchant for collecting artifacts tied to tragic events. However, their fascination with the macabre came at a price. They mysteriously vanished, leaving behind their eerie collection. Since then, the mansion has been transformed into a museum, a chilling testament to humanity's darkest hours. But the history of this place is more than just the artifacts on display. It's a palpable presence, a spectral shadow that looms over anyone brave enough to step inside. The Haunting History Museum has earned a notorious reputation for strange occurrences. Some say it's merely the creaking of an old building, the tricks of light and shadow. Others, however, believe the tales of the inexplicable. Whispers in the dead of night, objects moving of their own accord, the feeling of unseen eyes watching from the darkness. Many visitors have reported such experiences, their faces pale and voices trembling as they recount their chilling encounters. One such story is of a group of thrill-seekers who decided to spend the night in the museum. As the clock struck midnight, they heard the soft, distant sound of a piano playing a somber melody. The only problem, the museum doesn't house a piano. Another tale speaks of a young couple who, during their visit, stumbled upon a mirror that wasn't listed among the exhibits. As the woman peered into the glass, she saw not her reflection but the image of a woman dressed in Victorian attire, weeping silently. These tales may sound like the stuff of horror movies, but they're all too real for those who've experienced them. And they're not the only ones. There are countless stories tied to this eerie place, each one adding another layer to the museum's dark history. And so, the stage is set. Our explorers are about to step into a world where the past refuses to rest. Opening. As our explorers step into the museum, they're not alone. The spirits attached to the artifacts are stirring. As the threshold of the museum is crossed, a tangible shift in the atmosphere envelops our intrepid explorers. The air grows heavy, laden with an unseen energy that prickles the skin and sends shivers down the spine. It's a sensation that's hard to shake, a feeling of being watched, of being not alone. The explorers press on, their footsteps echoing ominously through the cavernous halls of the museum. The dim lighting casts long, foreboding shadows that seem to dance and flicker with a life of their own. It's as if the very walls of the museum are breathing, pulsating with the energy of the spirits within. A sudden clatter breaks the stifling silence. A century-old vase, once a silent observer of a tragic event, now teeters precariously on its pedestal before toppling over, shattering into 100 pieces on the cold stone floor. There's no breeze, no vibration, nothing that could have caused the vase to fall, yet fall it did. The whispers start next, soft, indistinct murmurs that seem to emanate from the very artifacts themselves. Words from a bygone era, spoken in hushed tones, almost as if the spirits are reluctant to break their centuries of silence. The voices grow louder, more insistent, a cacophony of spectral conversations that fill the air, the words intertwining and overlapping, creating a chilling symphony of the supernatural. A cold gust of wind sweeps through the museum, extinguishing the lights and plunging the explorers into darkness. The whispers are replaced by an eerie silence, the only sound the pounding of their hearts in their chests. The once familiar museum is now an alien landscape shrouded in darkness and mystery. A flicker of movement catches their eye. A shadow, darker than the surrounding gloom, moves with an unnatural speed, darting between the displays. It's quick, elusive, a fleeting glimpse of the supernatural. The explorers are no longer alone. They're surrounded by the spirits awakened by their intrusion. Closing. The spirits have awakened and they're not pleased with the intrusion. As they delve deeper into the museum, the encounters become more intense. Our brave explorers find themselves in the heart of the museum, each step echoing through the silent, dimly lit corridors. The air is thick with the weight of history, and a sense of unease seeps in. The artifacts, once silent witnesses to the past, are now stirring with an energy that is palpable and chilling. Suddenly, a ghostly whisper dances around the room. It's a soft, sorrowful lament, a voice from the past reaching out into the present. The explorers freeze, their hearts pounding in their chests. The whisper grows louder, more insistent. It's a name, a plea, a warning. It's the voice of a spirit bound to an artifact, a spectral presence desperate to be heard. As they move forward, the spectral encounters become more frequent, more intense. A chill runs down their spines as they feel unseen hands brush against their skin. Shadows flicker and dance in the corners of their eyes, vanishing when confronted head-on. The air grows colder, the silence deeper, punctuated only by the soft, desperate whispers of the unseen. Each artifact they pass seems to have a spirit attached, each with its own tale of sorrow and tragedy. They're not just observing these tales, they're living them. They're drawn into the stories, experiencing the fear, the sadness, the desperation. Suddenly, a loud crash echoes through the museum. An artifact has fallen from its display, its spectral inhabitant too restless to remain still. The explorers jump, their hearts pounding in their chests. They're surrounded by the unseen, the unheard, the unrested. The encounters are no longer just whispers and chills. The spirits are making themselves known, manifesting in ways that can't be ignored. They're not just observers in this museum anymore. They're participants in a spectral drama that has been unfolding for decades, maybe even centuries. The explorers are in a world where the past and the present intertwine, where tragedy and sorrow linger in the air, where spirits reach out from the other side. They're no longer just visitors in this museum, they're part of its haunting history. Our explorers are in too deep now, and there's no turning back. Just when they think they've seen it all, the museum has one final surprise. Our explorers, tired yet emboldened by their chilling encounters, are drawn to a shadowy corner of the museum. They find themselves in front of a colossal, antiquated door, seemingly untouched by time. The air grows colder, the silence heavier. The door creaks open, revealing the museum's most guarded secret, a room filled with relics from a disaster so tragic it's been wiped from common history. As they step inside, they feel a shift in the atmosphere. The once stifling air is now thick with anticipation. Each artifact, each remnant of the forgotten catastrophe seems to hum with a life of its own, beckoning the explorers further into the room. The explorers, driven by an insatiable curiosity, venture deeper into the room, their hearts pounding in their chests. Suddenly the room plunges into darkness. A chill runs down their spines as an icy, spectral wind sweeps through the room. Then a voice, no, multiple voices, whispering, wailing, echoing through the abyss. The explorers freeze, their breaths hitching in their throats. The whispers grow louder, more desperate, recounting tales of sorrow and despair. And then, without warning, a blood-curdling scream pierces the darkness, followed by an eerie silence. The explorers stand in the darkness, their hearts hammering against their ribs, their minds racing. What just happened? Who screamed? Was it a spirit attached to one of the relics? Or was it something far more sinister? The room remains in darkness, the chilling silence punctuated only by their ragged breaths. The lingering echoes of the spectral voices serve as a haunting reminder of the tragedies that once unfolded. What happens next? Well, that's a story for another time. Until then, remember, some histories are better left undisturbed.